Republicans take over next week, they're going to do something that apparently has never been done in the 221-year history of the House of Representatives. They are going to read the Constitution aloud.
Now, shocking news.
I can't believe it.
They're in Congress. They're going to read the Constitution aloud. What could possibly be wrong with that, Ezra Klein?
Is this a gimmick?
Yes, it's a gimmick. I mean,
gimmick.
You could say two things about it. One is that it has no binding power on anything, and the issue of the Constitution is not that people don't read the text and think they're following. The issue of the Constitution is that the text is confusing because it was written more than 100 years ago. And
Joy Behar to the rescue. She completely understands that this is a perfectly normal thing, and no one should object, right?
Do you think this Constitution loving is getting out of hand? I mean, is it a nod to the Tea Party? What is this about exactly? That is, is it the first time a lot of congressmen will have heard about it, read it?
I was going to say, first of all, I think on the one hand, it's hooray for Hollywood, right? I mean, I really think it's just a so obvious publicity stunt.
So the left really exercised because the Republicans want to read the Constitution as they open the session of Congress in which they are in charge of the House of Representatives. The Republicans are going to do this horrible thing to the country by reading the Constitution.
I now yield to the minority leader, the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Pelosi.
What?
Article 1, Section 1.
What?
All legislative powers
What's this?
herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States.
What? Wait a minute. Joy Behar and Ezra Klein said this was a Republican. Was that Nancy Pelosi reading the Constitution?
Sure was, John.
And this exercise in Republican demagoguery? Oh, my God. That had to be a mistake.
I now yield to the minority whip, the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Hoyer.
Wait a minute.
Article 1, continuation of Section 2.
He's a Democrat.
The number of representatives shall not exceed one for every 30,000.
What? That's Steny Hoyer. And that was Nancy Pelosi. The left had a cow, and at the last minute, the two leading lights of the left in the House decided, you know what, we'll join in. I mean, you got to wonder, what's Bathtub Boy going to do tonight to criticize this, now that his Nancy Pelosi and his Steny Hoyer were reading along with John Boehner and Eric Cantor? What's he going to say tonight? Oh, well, you know, the Democrats are off the rails, pulling the stunt. And also, if I may say, this part really fries me.
It is unclear at this hour whether, when they read out the Constitution tomorrow, as if they wrote it and as if they own it, House Republicans will skip those little amended clauses, like the part about slaves being 3/5 of a person.
Why is that germane to anything having to do with this? What, Republicans want slavery?
That's what they're implying, yeah. Republicans want slavery, and they're reading the Constitution so you'll be reminded of those good old days when black people were slaves. I mean, that is the point.
How about Abe Lincoln was a Republican? Does that mean anything?
To Bathtub Boy? I mean, please.
The reading was a Tea Party priority, but in our fourth story tonight, progressives have seen an opening. They are relishing the prospect of incoming Tea Party Republicans forced to read aloud from the Constitution the proof that their ideas about the Constitution are wrong.
Isn't that slavery stuff from that moron Bathtub Boy offensive?
Is he trying to impugn the right or trying to impugn our founders with that?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Yeah, he's impugning the founders, and he's impugning... I mean, you know, let's think about this a moment. Keith Olbermann, famous for being a sportscaster, not from being a player, but from being a baseball card collector, and famous for being a loudmouth on television.
Oh, suck up. Why don't you?
Condemning George Washington.
Really is pathetic.
Wow! John Gibson of Fixed News, today's worst person in the world.
Always striving to be the worst to Bathtub Boy.
You should crawl off into a hole and die.
But the best to you. John Gibson.